not letting it happen. I'm not letting Wednesdays get me down. Now, Wednesdays are tough days, both on the radio and here. Go tell your friends right now we are rolling on a Wednesday. It's hump day, and we are rolling. Don't at me. Just go do it right now. Text your buddy. Say Dockage is live. He's on one. We don't know what's going to happen today. It's maybe a fireable day. Those of you that listen to me in Indy know when we have fireable days, they're the best days that there are. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for spending a little bit of the morning with me and us. We've got Donnie and Jesse and Stephanie and Lauren. Lauren's battling. I mean, she's in there throwing hands against the flu. She's not messing around. A lot of college hoops last night, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of college hoops, and I'm going to get to it. Some NBA. Obviously, we won you a shit ton of money last night. We did. Allison Williams. I told you a few weeks ago that I'm going to be smarter with my gambling picks, and what we're going to do then is win. We're 3-0 since I said that, including the Lakers, which I'll get into in a minute. But let's go through about last night, a historical rivalry in college basketball. Villanova, who has become basically, the juggernaut, the model program in college hoops. You want a program? Duke's great. North Carolina's great historically. Kansas, Kentucky. But you want a model for how to do it? The Wildcats of Nova, man. Jay Wright, best dressed man, the George Clooney of college basketball. Mr. Cool, Mr. Smooth. He gets all the players that he needs. I don't know whether his recruiting classes are the greatest, and I don't care. I just know he's a badass. Jim Boeheim, 6,722 years old. I don't know if those are his kids playing or his grandkids, Buddy and Jimmy. But I'll tell you this, Jim Boeheim is one of, if not my favorite coach to talk to. I love talking to that man. I don't like it. I love it. Well, last night, there it was, the Jimmy V Classic. Villanova, Syracuse, just like the old Big East days. Villanova is still in the Big East. Syracuse is in the ACC, which is very weird. But the weirdest thing of all was Syracuse shooting 15 threes, Villanova shooting 50. Most in program history, 67-53, Villanova won. 5 for 15 is all Buddy and Jim and Joe Girard and the rest could muster. Buddy Buckets had a bad night, man. Buddy Buckets was 5 of 15, 0 for 5 from the three-point line. It's interesting. It's interesting that Villanova, who really runs the best offense other than Matt Painter at Purdue in college basketball, settled for so many threes against the zone. A lot of times you can get layups, but hey, they made 15 of 50. I'm no mathematician, but that seems like 30%. And they went into the Garden, old style, not the beer, old style Big East game, and whooped up on the hated Orange. It was a good game. It was a good night in college basketball. When you go to Nebraska and you drive in on the highway, there is a monstrosity that overlooks the highway. I mean, it dominates the highway. And that's Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm not kidding you. It's like, it's like over you. And then you look to the other side, and they've got, other side of the highway, and they got a beautiful basketball arena, and they've got a beautiful setup. I think it's called the Haymarket District. Restaurants and bars. It's beautiful over here. Small because you see this frickin' Memorial Stadium. And they call it the Vault at Nebraska. Protect the Vault. We must protect this house. Isn't that Under Armour? We must protect this vault. Okay. In protecting the vault, what does that mean? That means we don't lose on our home court. Well, last night, the Michigan Wolverines came in and put on as good a display as you're ever going to see. Let me just put it to you this way. Everybody was making damn near every shot. It felt like the fellas of the Corn had resistance. It felt that way, but it really wasn't. Listen to this. Michigan on the road, 112-67. Now, years gone by, when Tim Miles was the head coach of Nebraska, and Nebraska was always competitive, made the NCAA tournament, he was building a program, he wasn't good enough. We got to go get Fred Hoiberg. Fred Hoiberg, terrific at Iowa State, his alma mater, was with the Bulls. He was swimming upstream. Now he's at Nebraska. I say this because be careful what you wish for. Sometimes bigger names aren't better. Sometimes the fit of the man to the school or the woman to the school is what's most important. Fred Hoiberg's struggling, and I don't see any way out. Not yet. Not for a couple more years. Jimmy V Classic last night, the first game, the game before Villanova and Syracuse, was arguably a game from 1943. It was Texas Tech and Tennessee. Now, make no mistake, Texas Tech and Tennessee might have been good in football back when Philip Fulmer maybe was coaching against Mike Leach, but there's nothing interesting about these teams. Sorry, Clay Travis, very sorry. I know you're Tennessee through and through, but I saw, Clay, your text basically, or your tweet basically saying, hey, look, just get me to the NCAA tournament, whereas an 11 seed, as a 6 seed, my Tennessee Vols lose to an 11 seed. I'm not sure you're going to get to be a 6 seed. That frickin' performance last night was 2 words, garbage, by both teams. My boy, my friend, and God bless him, Dickie V, said, what a defensive battle. You can call it a defensive battle, and it's the reason Dickie V's in the Hall of Fame and I'm out of work half the time. He spins the positive, defensive battle. My tweet was, that shit was unwatchable. I mean, I tried to watch it because the Todd father and I had action on Tennessee, but damn, that shit was unwatchable. Let's go to the NBA. Ladies and gentlemen, the Celtics and the Lakers, it invokes memories. I know it does. Red Auerbach smoking a stogie, Pat Riley complaining that the referee, it just invokes too many. I'm going to have brain overload and smoke's going to come out of my ears. That was the easiest bet I made yesterday. For some reason, and this happens once in a great while, the odds makers got it wrong. Here's why. The Lakers won 117 to 102. All right. The Lakers were only a 2.5-point favorite. Bad line. Here's why. Here's what you got to look at. I don't even know 10 players on either team, and I don't really care. But LeBron James came out the other day and defended his coach. When is the last time LeBron James defended anybody but LeBron James? LeBron or Jesse Smollett. I bet you LeBron James defended Jesse Smollett, Kamala Harris, and whatever else you want to defend. Whatever dumbass you want to defend. I bet you LeBron James did. But anyway, so LeBron defends his coach. Stunning. Celtics come in. Celtics stink. LeBron James and the Lakers had gotten their ass whipped by the Celtics earlier in the year. This wasn't happening twice. So all LeBron James is live up to his word. He said that we got to play better as players. Quit blaming the coaches. So LeBron goes and gets 30. Russell Westbrook goes and does what Russell Westbrook does, 24 and 11, usually in a regular season game about this time of year. And the Lakers absolutely rolled the Celtics. That was the easiest bet maybe of the year. Last game that I want to talk about is the Knicks versus the Spurs. The NBA is so bad defensively that a kid named R.J. Barrett, who can't shoot from me to you, scored 32 last night against what you all tell me. Greg Popovich is the best coach ever. Greg Popovich is the most woke coach. We've got to listen to Greg Popovich. Greg Popovich, my ass. Ever since Tim Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker left, Greg Popovich has basically been me in my last 2 years in the MAC. No good. No chance. Hasta la vista. But yet Greg Popovich grows his hair long, has $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 dinners, is a wine connoisseur. Let me tell you something. Greg Popovich is from Maryville, Indiana, where I'm from. Never been a wine connoisseur from Maryville, Indiana. Yeah, we like our Boone's Farm. Yeah, we'll drink our Mad Dog 2020. But don't tell me about some Bordeaux from the south of France when you're from Maryville, frickin' Indiana. I like when Popovich loses. I shouldn't like when Popovich loses. He played at the same Little League as me, Junedale Little League, Gary, Indiana. But I like when he loses. I've had enough of him and Steve Kerr, the wokest of the woke. Steve Kerr how's Steve Kerr done, by the way, without Steph Curry? Now Steph Curry's back. Amazing how that happens. That's why no coaches, professional coaches, should ever be in any halls of fame other than the professional coaches' halls of fame. Anyway, the Knicks behind R.J. Barrett, 121, 109. They rolled. It was a good night of hoops last night, and I didn't watch, but everybody tells me Barkley was funny. Look, side note, the only pre- or post-game show to watch is Game Day with Outkick or Charles Barkley on TNT. I mean, you're going to listen to Jalen Rose, Mike Wilbon, and Stephen A. Smith? You got to be kidding me. Every guy's trying to out-serious himself. And Mike Greenberg standing there at his little podium with his feet together and his thing. Hi. Please. They need me on those shows. I remember Sage Steele and I had a conversation about how much she wanted me on her show. They do. It'd be fun. It'd be funnier. And people would actually watch. That ESPN show, and ESPN knows it, is complete garbage. It always has been. All the guys that I work with on ESPN text me every time it's on and go, "You watching this?" And I go, "No, I don't watch it." All right, that's last night in hoops. Now, here's the deal with hoops. Hoops is heating up. Hoops is going to be fun. I got three, since it's midweek, I got three things, kind of a roundup. Does that make sense? And these aren't the greatest things, but they're pretty good. If I'm saying them, you should listen to them. First, the most watched championship game since 2018 was the SEC championship game, Alabama, Georgia. Now, here's what always fascinates me about this. I would have thought that that's the most watched game maybe ever. No, I'm serious here. Georgia got all kind of pub. Georgia's by Atlanta, big city. Alabama, national appeal. I mean, who else in the SEC has more appeal right now than those two teams? You say, well, they're not big markets. Well, they're the entire South. Literally every television in Birmingham had it on to the Alabama-Georgia game. That's just the way Birmingham rolls. When you look at all of the ratings of college football, the number one city, and it really isn't close, that watches college football is Birmingham. No, it's a true story. It really is. I'm surprised. I really am. I'm surprised that this isn't the number one watched championship game ever. Seriously, on championship weekend. I'm not talking about national championship. I mean, this had everything you want. Think about it. Upstart team in Georgia. Now, Georgia, not the most, when I look at it, I've never stopped, other than 1980, to watch Herschel Walker. I've never stopped in my tracks and said, oh, God, I got to watch Georgia. Man, they're interesting. Jake Fromm, his mom. What? Nope, I didn't say that. Delete. Jake Fromm was fun to watch. No one ever said that. Ever. Never. Nothing interesting about Georgia. Man, I love watching Sony Michel. The only interesting thing about Georgia was when Mark Richt and Urban Meyer would go back and forth, and the next thing you know, Urban scoring an extra touchdown, they're celebrating. Georgia scores one time, beats Urban Meyer for the first time in their history, and they're jumping up and down, standing on their head and crapping snowballs. That's it. I mean, let's be honest. You've never wanted to watch Georgia in anything. I love Tom Crean. But ever since Dominique Wilkins was at Georgia, tell me something interesting about Georgia. Christ, they've got, what's that kid's name? He's going to be the rookie of the year in the NBA. They didn't make the tournament. Nobody wants to watch him when they had that kid. Nuh-uh. Georgia, uninteresting. However, this year, Georgia, interesting. Nick Saban was getting his brains beat out. Everybody's whining about the Auburn running back that didn't fall down. I go the other way. I think the Auburn running back understood if I get a first down here, it's over. That's why he stayed on his feet. Got knocked out of bounds. Gave Nick Saban a chance at a national championship. But I digress. That game should have been number one. The Big Ten championship game, you got the thick ankles of Iowa taking on Michigan. There was intrigue there, but that's kind of just today and every week in the Big Ten championship game. There's always a team from the West that stinks. I don't care if it's Wisconsin, it's Iowa, it's Northwestern. They stink. That's it. All right. Kayvon Thibodeaux opted out of the bowl for Oregon. He opted out of Oregon as well. Now, that's not news. I mean, Thibodeau's probably going to be the number one pick in the draft, or if he's not, he's going to be around the number one pick in the draft. You know what I mean by it? Like his name, 1, 2, 3, whatever it's going to be. You go to the combine, you interview. If the team with the number one pick likes you, then you're going to be the number one pick, right? If they don't, then they don't. Okay, fine. He's that kind of talent. I don't blame him for opting out. I've gone to the point where I don't even care. Like so many people get so emotional over this stuff. Well, you got to play with your team in the bowl. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Here's what I care about bowl games. I care that I win the Steve Kleinman pool. I care that I win my brother's wife's brother, my sister-in-law's brother's pool. Because everybody talks smack in it. And it's one of those pools where you take, what do you call it, where the number one game you think is going to win, you make it 40 and you whatever, it's a number pool. I won it one year, like 100 people in it. I want to win it again. 2 reasons. Number one, I want to talk some smack. Number 2, I like the cash. I'm big on the cash. Give me the cash. So that's all I care about with the bowls. 2 hints real quick on the bowls. Don't make your picks on the bowls until the absolute deadline of your pool because you don't know who's going to play. Second thing, historically, maybe not with Louisiana this year, but historically, teams without coaches get their ass beat. Teams who coaches, went somewhere. And all of a sudden, the new coach is in there like that guy at LSU. He's great, but they usually get their ass kicked in a bowl when they're playing with an interim coach. Just things to live by. But look, long story short, my question isn't about Thibodeaux. Smart, good for him, or Thibodeaux, however you say his name. My question is who else? The Pickett kid at Pittsburgh. I don't know if he's going to be 1, 2, 10, 20. I don't know. But are you going to play in a bowl if you're him? Now, Bryce Young got to play in a bowl, obviously. C.J. Stroud, it's the Rose Bowl. You got to understand, in the Midwest, the Rose Bowl is big. And C.J. Stroud's coming back. So he's going to play in it. I don't know. The Michigan kid Hutchinson, I'm just going with the finalists. I don't know. He's got to play. Hell, you're playing for a national championship, and those guys are going to play. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about how many guys this year are going to Jalen Smith it. Remember Jalen Smith? Jalen Smith's kid literally 4 miles away from where I'm sitting right here. He went to Cathedral High School. Great player at Notre Dame. Played in the bowl game. Selfless. Tore up his knee, missed a year. Still got paid. But eventually his career right now is kind of in the toilet. And I don't know if it's because of the injury he suffered. Horrific injury. So if I'm the dad, and this is how I look at things. If I'm the dad of a player, and he asked me, and he's going to be a first-round pick, you know what I got to do? I got to go to the beard. I might actually go to the beard, put on some shades, and do like Alec Baldwin in 30 Rock, grab a glass of scotch and stare out a window. That's some real thinking right there. When you put the shades on, you go to the beard, you got a glass of scotch, and you look out a window, that's when you're doing some gazindas. That's when you're doing some figuring, period. I would have to do that because I'm torn between, the old, these are my brothers. You hear football players say that all the time. These are my brothers. I got to go to war with my brother. Okay. Yeah. All right. I get it. But, man, we all know one adage. We all know it. Money talks. You can add the bullshit walks on it, but money talks. And if I were a father, I would sit down, have an idea. I am a father, but not of an NFL player. I would sit down, show them the finances of it, be real on every area. Be real on legacy to school, legacy with teammates, how you're perceived with your fans, not the school, not the team, but your fans out there. And then I would show them the financial implications. And here's the deal. Just because you play in a football game doesn't mean you're going to get hurt. You understand what I'm saying? The potential for getting hurt is greater, obviously, playing than not playing. But I don't know how you do this. I don't know how you're on a team. Now think about this. You're on a team all year. You're obviously good enough because you're a first-round pick. All right? You say no, but you hang around the team. I'm not playing, but you hang around the team. Now, I got to tell you, this is why I'll never coach again, because no one will ever hire me. If the guy said no, I'm not playing, he ain't hanging around my team. Nice to see you. I'm helping you in any way, but out. Because everybody else on that team every day gets reminded that their best player quit on them, fairly or unfairly. I get it. People are going to come at me for saying that. I don't care. But that's what I would do as a coach. I know it's bad business. I know other recruits will hear about it. But I got to tell you, I got to stand up for my peeps that are actually going and playing in the game. I do. You're going to see this all the time. You're going to see at whatever U has a guy that's opting out. He's going to be on the sidelines. He's going to have his jersey on over his shirt, or if it's cold, his jacket, whatever it's going to be. And the team's going to act like it's no big deal. Well, to me, it is a big deal. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying I'm trying to win every game that I play. And one thing I don't need is our best player being an example of not playing. Here's another hint for you coaches. Don't ever bring coffee into a frickin' practice. Like you walk in, you got a cup of coffee. You know what that tells everybody at that practice? That you're just laid back and relaxed. Tubby Smith was at Minnesota. Mike Tirico and I are sitting there. Tubby's 2 assistants came onto the court ready to work players out, each carrying a cup of coffee. I looked at Tariq. I said, Mike, they're going to get fired here in a year. What are you talking about? You never bring coffee on the court. What does that have to do with it? It means that the players know that the coach isn't serious about working. So they're not going to get better because they won't respect I'm just telling you. A year later, I don't know if I know much, but I know sports, and I know that kind of crap. I do. I'm not going to lie. I absolutely do. I know it. I do. I got to get my phone because I want to see how many of you are on YouTube or on watching. Not enough. Go get your friends. It's not enough. We need more people here on our Outkick Twitter feed. We do. So go tell your friends right now. I'll give you a second. You can tweet me at Dan Dakich, by the way. All right. Last thing on this midweek deal. What the hell's going on with you woke folk out there? I mean, first Bill Maher loses his mind and all of a sudden starts thinking both ways. Like, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, conservative or liberal, but think for your damn self. Holy snarkies. I mean, think for yourself, people. And guess what? All of a sudden, Bill Maher did. What? Bill Maher just used common sense. Wasn't like Bill Maher all of a sudden said, hey, everybody go conservative. Wasn't like Bill Maher said, hey, Trump was right. He didn't say any of that. He just started talking like a normal human being. What's up with that? And did I see this right? What's that guy's name from CNN? Jake Tapper? Jake Tapper actually? Did he actually denounce Hollywood? What? Did he actually denounce the NBA? So eager for Chinese cash? Jake Tapper said? Hollywood, Silicon Valley, and the NBA on blast during CNN's State of the Union. I'm looking at Jack Tapper, whatever the hell this guy's name is. I'm looking at him. What is going on with you woke folk? This is amazing. Tapper called on American businesses to follow the example of the Women's Tennis Association with canceled events he was scheduled to hold in China after tennis player Peng Shuai accused former Vice Premier Zhang Gai of sexually assaulting her. Listen to this. I told you this a week ago, that the Women's Tennis Association opened the doors for all the woke folk. You get stuck in your stupid ass ways, whether it's woke or to conserve, whatever. But when someone opens a door, a lot of people are now walking through it. I told you this a week ago, that the Women's Tennis Association doing this is going to allow the clowns that run the NBA and other businesses to denounce China because they've got cover. They're too gutless and money hungry to do it on their own. But all of a sudden, the Women's Tennis Association, who'd have thunk it? The big bad boys at CNN, following the lead of the Women's Tennis Association. I guarantee you those nerds on CNN couldn't tell you 2 women tennis players that aren't named Serena Williams. I'll bet your ass if you put those nerds on a tennis court, they would trip over their own shoelaces. And somebody would have to tell them, look, Jack, whatever the hell your name is, Donnie Lemon, baby, get the jockstrap. It doesn't go over your nose. That's what they would have to do. The millionaires and billionaires of Hollywood and the NBA and the IOC and Wall Street are so eager for Chinese cash, they're pretending none of this happened. There is no amount of money that can buy enough soap to wash that blood off their hands. Really? People have been saying that for years, Jake Tapper. What all of a sudden made you and the big boys at CNN decide that you could actually spew this on your television? The Women's Tennis Association. Like, I am cast, if you look me up, as a misogynist, but I am the biggest supporter of women ever. I'd rather hang with women than men. I'd rather listen to women than men. Look, I'm not going to tell you I'd rather watch a WNBA game than an NBA game, but I respect the hell out of the WNBA. I'd rather watch a college softball game than a college baseball game. That's for damn sure. But all of a sudden, people are starting to wake up. Women are smart. Really? You just figuring that out, Jake Tapper? Wait, women, the Women's Tennis Association, gave me the cover I need to not be a douchebag. But all of a sudden, now China's bad. I'm not going to do this because I don't care enough. But I would be curious to see CNN's reaction to a couple years ago when Houston Rockets general manager Daryl Morey he did put out a tweet saying he stands with Hong Kong. That's basically what he said. I guarantee you Jack Tapper or Jake Tapper and little Donnie Lemon had no response to that denouncing China. The Chinese government and the Chinese leaders have not all of a sudden out of the blue started doing human rights violations, slavery, killing people, innocent people. But we, here in the United States, because of money and greed, never talked about it until Daryl Morey and now Enes Kanter freed him. Wow. The Women's Tennis Association opened the doors for CNN. Wow. Will Facebook be next? Will Twitter be next? Will TikTok be next? I'm not betting on the NBA. The NBA is going to do it, and I'm telling you right now, it's going to do it before May. Maybe before June, somewhere in there. What is going on with the woke folk? All right, I got a lot to talk to you people about. I got a lot to say today, but we don't have enough people watching. So go get your people watching. When we come back, I'm giving you my fantasy league of greatness. People that I want on my fantasy team as people. And they're all sports figures. I tied it in there. We'll be right back. Let me explain something to you. I can't stand whiny-ass people, all right? Now, you can say, Dockage, all you do for 2 hours is whine. Yeah, but I do it in a manly way. I put on shades. So I was asked by Stephanie to come up with a fantasy league of greatness. Stephanie is our producer extraordinaire. A fantasy league of greatness. And I was going to do it with people, and I was going to be a smart ass about it. Like somebody asked me one time, who would you like to play golf with? Like if you could have an ideal foursome, who would it be? And all these guys were like, well, Belichick and Bobby Knight. I'm like, yeah, the last thing in the world I want to do is play golf with Belichick or some coach that talks about me, I. In 78 when I was at Navy. No, I said like Halle Berry, my wife Lee, and Raquel Welch. I think that'd be a fun foursome. That'd be a great time. I don't want to play with coach. I don't want, sports figures wear you out. Whenever you talk to a sports figure, they're not listening to you. They're trying to figure out what they have to say and tell you, particularly when you're an announcer. Like the worst thing about being an announcer was going into a coach's meeting before the game and listen to this guy tell you stuff, and you walk out 9 out of 10 times and go, my God, I don't know how he's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. I just don't know. So anyway, I digress. My fantasy league of champions involves 4 players, 3 athletes and 1 coach. Now, here's the deal. The first guy is Muhammad Ali. If I'm going to have a fantasy league of greatness, Muhammad Ali is numero uno. Not because I'm some woke white guy that's trying to get down and trying not to be called an ist. I've been called an ist the last 2 years, and you name an ist. Misogynist, racist, you name sexist. I've been called, I don't care, but Muhammad Ali was always my nemesis. He wasn't my hero. I liked Joe Frazier when he fought Muhammad Ali. But I'll tell you this, Muhammad Ali, I always had eyes on. If Muhammad Ali fought, and those of you that are old like me, you remember Muhammad Ali and Ken Norton fought on a Sunday or Saturday afternoon on the Wide World of Sports, for crying out loud, on ABC, which was Channel 7 in Chicago. When Muhammad Ali did something, I paid attention. So I want Muhammad Ali's security in his own human beingness. I want Muhammad Ali's confidence. I want Muhammad Ali leading the charge with, man, oh man, you ain't beating us. You got no chance. I want Muhammad Ali's uber competitiveness. One thing about Muhammad Ali, he would take a licking and keep on ticking. I want Muhammad Ali's smarts in battle. Anybody know the rope-a-dope? Anybody remember that against George Foreman? Smarts in battle. Lastly, I want Muhammad Ali's huge fan base. If I'm going to have a fantasy league, and again, it's a fantasy, I want his humongous fan base. I want everything about Muhammad Ali, and I want to walk right next to him, which I did, by the way, one time at the Tony Tucker-Mike Tyson fight at the Hilton in Vegas. My brother and I snuck down, and we actually sat next to Robin Givens. Remember Robin Givens? That was Mike Tyson's wife. I looked at her, and we're about half in the bag. I go, hey, you're on head of the class. And I've never had a woman give me a worse look in her life. I've never had somebody tell me to go F myself, keep effing myself, and F yourself until you die, like Robin Givens with a look. But that's all right, I digress. That same day, I went to the bathroom, came down the stairs, and somehow, some way, I was right in the middle of Muhammad Ali's entourage. He was being held up a little bit by a couple handlers, like they had his fingers underneath his elbows, kind of just making sure he was steady. I said, champ, how you doing, man? He looked at me. I liked it. Muhammad Ali was my guy. I rooted for Joe Frazier. Muhammad Ali was my guy. All right, full disclosure, I own Michael Jordan. Now, you're laughing right now. Go ahead, I'll let you. But in 1984, kicked Michael Jordan's ass when I was at Indiana and he was at North Carolina. You can look it up. Billy Packer made a bit of a too big a deal about it. But Michael Jordan is my next guy. Now, same summer, I beat Michael Jordan out of $6,000 playing golf. He's like, come on, we'll go to Wendy's. We went to Wendy's. Me, him, Steve Alford, Timmy Knight. He said, I'll pay you tomorrow. He paid me in a bag of garbage. Not garbage actual, but stuff he got from free at the Olympics. 1984 was the year of the Olympics. Coach Knight was the coach. College kids went. Jordan was among them. We played golf on a nice Sunday afternoon. I beat the living hell out of him. He said it was the day he signed his Nike contract, so he didn't. His exact quote, money don't mean nothing to me. I said, Mike, money means a lot to me. Let's double, triple, whatever you want. I beat him out of $6,000. To this day, he's never paid. I'll get into that in a later show. But I can't stand soft-ass people. Like, there's a group of people that are mad at Penny Hardaway because he came out and said, hey, look, I'm going to go be an asshole to my team. Oh, he's abusing college kids. Shut up. I want Michael Jordan on everybody's ass. I'm not one of those that watched, what was that thing called on Michael Jordan, that Last Dance, and said, oh, what a bad teammate. He was too hard. No. I'm one of those guys that said that's the way you win. When your best player demands of everybody else, that's the way you win, and that's the way you win big. If I'm going to have a fantasy team of greatness, I got to have Michael Jordan on it to push everybody. That's right. I got to have Michael Jordan to tell everybody on this team, we are not losing, period. I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to know about it. We ain't losing. Come on, Mohammed. Let's go kick everybody's ass. That's what I need. And that's what you need. And frankly, that's what America needs. Speaking of America, you guys don't know this name, and it's a damn shame. This is the gutsiest athlete we have had in the last 7 years. I'm trying to think Olympics-wise. Her name is Lilly King. Now, Lilly King won a bronze medal, a silver, a couple different things in this year's Olympics. That's not why I want Lilly King on my team. Back in the day, not this past Olympics, so I guess it'd be 2016, there was a Russian cheater named, and I had to make sure I had this, named Yulia Emonov. She was a steroid user. She got banned from swimming, but she was also the world record holder. Lilly King in the trials wagged her finger, basically saying, I'm kicking your ass. Lilly King called out the Russian. This became a national story. Now, I know people don't pay attention to swimming nearly as much as you should, but you do pay attention sometimes in the Olympics. Lilly King called out the Russians. It became news. She's disrespectful. She's unsportsmanlike. She's an ugly American. Lilly King, who was like 19 or 20 and a senior at Indiana University, did not care. She stood up to all of it. And you know what Lilly King did? She went out and whooped some Russian ass. She beat the world champ. She backed up what she said. And if anybody out there is smart enough to actually pay attention to real athletes, not these clowns you see running around the NBA dunking and then posing, you know Lilly King should have been the sportswoman of the year, the sportsman of the year. Don't give me this crap about some basketball player that's 6'8", 270 pounds, and he can dunk. If he can't dunk, that's a story. But I want Lilly King on any team that I have. I want Lilly King on my side. Lilly King went off. She won a bronze, and the media was disappointed. Well, what they didn't know, that Lilly King mentored the young lady that beat her in the Olympics. And Lilly King said, hey, bullshit. Winning a bronze medal is a hell of an accomplishment. Don't you all be besmirching that. I love Lilly King. She's been on my show numerous times. And whenever Lilly King is on my show, people just fall in love. Because Lilly King is an American badass. That's exactly what I call Lilly King. She is an American badass. Might be the baddest of all badasses currently around the sports scene right now. I mean, let's be honest. LeBron falls down, he gets a cramp, and he cries, and then he marches off with his purse. I mean, let's be real here. Tom Brady, American badass. Darius Leonard, American badass. But they ain't like Lilly King. Tom Brady's got to stand there in the pocket and throw. Lilly King took on the world. The freaking world. And not one of these dipshit media corporations even acknowledged and gave her a big money deal. She should have been the face of everything. Dockage, why are you spending 5 minutes talking about Lilly King? Because I want to. Man, my daughter, when they were in college together, both in the School of Education, didn't know each other, but when they ran into each other at Kilroy Sports Bar, that's how cool Lilly King is. They had a great night. They had a great time. I love Lilly King. Lilly King's a badass. All right, I need someone to coach this mess. This mess. Lilly King, Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan. This ain't no mess. This is greatness. And I'm going to Nick Saban. Couple reasons, not the reasons you think. You guys think I'm going with Nick Saban because of all the championships. No. I'm going to Nick Saban because I've seen Nick Saban evolve. I've seen Nick Saban go from this kind of an idiot, idiot savant, to a fun guy. Not the frickin' mushroom fun guy, a fun guy. Stop it with the dad jokes, will you please? No, a really fun human being. Nick Saban, I think, is great. I'm a big fan of Nick Saban. Literally. And not because he wins. I wouldn't know who the hell he was if he didn't win. I get all that. But Nick Saban's coaching this crew. I need a coach that's going to push, prod, and not be afraid of great athletes. Nick Saban is my man. Period. Now, won a ton of championships, took over a program that wasn't great at Alabama, might win another one if you go by how they played this past weekend. But Nick Saban joins the list of American badasses. Like, I don't want to hear about some guy and his straight-leg jeans and his fat ass and his beard. That ain't my story. That ain't my style. And I know we're all supposed to, embrace these folks, and they're the nastiest people alive. I want real dudes. I want real ladies. I want real men. So that's my team. Let's recap. Muhammad Ali, security, confidence, uber competitive, and I want the huge fan base. Michael Jordan, I can't stand soft-ass people. I'm sorry. I know we're all supposed to. I know social media is filled with you people. Well, Dockage is such a, okay. I want him on everybody's ass, Michael Jordan, every day. Lilly King's the nicest person, most confident person ever. She called out the Russian. She beat the Russians' ass in the 2016 Olympics, and she's a great human being. She mentors others. Hell, when all this COVID was going on and she had to train for the Olympics, she went in a pond. And they were snapping turtles. She said, I better get out of the pond. And then Nick Saban, Tom Izzo, there's not a lot of coaches that I respect because of how they will get on their players' asses. Not a lot of coaches. Those two I respect because they ain't afraid. They are not afraid. They ain't afraid to call Matt Painter, Purdue basketball. He ain't afraid. John Thompson back in the day, Bobby Knight, not afraid. Dean Smith never won as much because he was afraid. Dean Smith was always trying to kiss ass. Don't kiss ass. Let's go to, speaking of coaches. Are you exhausted yet? I'm getting tired of all this talking. Speaking of coaches, did you see this? Now, this week in college football stupidity is not a coach leaving. It's not a coach saying, hey, look, guys, I'm going to talk in the Southern drawl when I'm Brian Kelly or whatever the hell his name is. No. This happened actually at Halloween, but it kind of took a turn over the last week. There's an assistant coach at Texas named Jeff Banks. Jeff Banks and his girlfriend, Danielle Thomas, are facing a civil suit after Thomas's monkey allegedly bit a kid at her residence. This happened on Halloween. Now, apparently this Thomas is one of these Instagram models, which immediately makes me go, yeah, she's guilty. Nah, I didn't want to hear it. Well, apparently this kid who they call CC is suing for gross negligence and defamation, meaning they defamed her. Defamation, whatever the hell it is. I can't read sometimes. And I did take 30 days to a more powerful vocabulary, and I did take speed reading a year I sat out of high school, but I digress. Here's the deal. The couple, the Klinkenbeards, who are filing this, were invited to trick or treat and it was a haunted house. After going through the house, they were taken to the backyard where Thomas kept a monkey who was trained to give high fives. Instead, the monkey bit the child. CC was forced to manually pry the monkey's jaw open. There was so much blood, CC was unable to see the full extent of the injury. A doctor who treated CC told Thomas she needed to file a report with the health department and to provide the monkey's vaccination status. Thomas, apparently, this Instagram model, did what Instagram models do. She tried to discredit CC and the family to protect the monkey. So now we're protecting monkeys and not people. Man, there's two types of people you should never date. And this goes both ways, men and women. You never date a Kardashian. I mean, never. It's like a hex. It's voodoo. And I don't think you should ever date an Instagram model, man or woman. I've told my daughter, if some dude is a, quote, social influencer, don't even talk to the boy. Don't even look at him. Because that's all he wants you to do. Guys out there, oh man, my girlfriend, look at her. She just posed, a string bikini and her ass is showing. Isn't she great? No. Or look at my boyfriend. He's got his shirt off, his pants halfway down to his crotch, and he's all oiled up. Isn't he great? No. They are self-centered, insecure little batches. Don't do it. At least with a Kardashian, maybe somehow, some way you can snake your way into the millions that they have, actually the billions that they have. But the little pain in the ass Instagram model, what are you doing? Have a little more sack. Have a little more self-pride. Look at my boyfriend. He's wearing a wife beater, and look at his arms all oiled up, and he just had a photo shoot in the Hamptons. I tell you what, your boyfriend is a D-bag. Well, my girlfriend just got 73 likes on Twitter because she showed cleavage. I'm here to help. I'm here to help America. I'm like Andrew Schultz. I'm here to save America. I'm here to get us back. If you're bragging about your Instagram model girlfriend, then dude, everybody around you, other than your little boys that are wearing too tight shirts, skinny jeans, and vaping, everybody else thinks you're a douchebag and an insecure little prick. So don't do it. And if you're a football coach at Texas, do better. Just do better, because your girlfriend is more interested in what's going on with a frickin' monkey than what's going on with a kid. Explain that one to me. Explain that one to me. Will you please? It's ridiculous. All right. Last thing before I get to Allison Williams, which makes this show better and brighter, I'll ask her about influencers. There is a rash these days, not the itchy rash, kind of the word rash, of kids committing and decommitting. All right? So I commit to a school, and now I'm decommitting. Interesting. Well, this is just simply what happens when coaches take over. And for once, I don't blame kids for doing it. I've always blamed coaches for trying to, quote, flip people. Like when I hear all the greats and not so greats on my television talk about how a coach flipped recruits, meaning I'm committed to LSU, but the Florida staff comes in and gets you to flip your commitment and now go to Florida. I think to myself, how much lack of integrity can you have? You got a 16 to 18-year-old who makes a painstaking decision to commit to a school, and here comes Jimmy Joe football coach in his suit and tie talking about God, religion, and integrity and making men out of boys. And what's the first thing he does? Is he flips a guy. I hate that. But I got no problem with a kid like Nick Evers decommitting from Florida. You got a new coach in there. He's not the coach that recruited you. He was recruited by Dan Mullen. And you know when you go to a school, you're actually committing to the coach. So if the coach changes, I got no problem with someone saying, timeout. We saw it at LSU as well with the Johnson kid, the quarterback. Timeout. I'm going to reassess. I'm going to look at this and say, all right, hold the phone. Is this the coach for me? And if I'm a kid like Nick Evers, he's what? The third-rated quarterback, I guess, in the country? I don't know. I'm not going to Florida unless I absolutely love the new coach at Florida, unless I get to know the coach at Florida. I've committed to Danny Mullen. I committed to Coach O if I'm an LSU recruit. I committed to whatever the guy's name was that was coaching USC. I didn't commit to you. I committed to Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma. So I got no problem with that. I do have a problem with coaches. You know, coaches, it's game week. I'm putting on my suit and tie. And you know how football aligns itself with the military. The military is all about integrity. The soldiers that fight. The leaders that lead. Football, particularly college football, that's bullshit. That's complete and total bullshit. If you're going to sit there and you talk about integrity, then how about you leave a 16, 17-year-old kid alone when he finally made a commitment? It's never going to happen. And fans are worse than coaches. Fans are out there going, yeah, we flipped Jimmy Joe bag of donuts. Woohoo! Yeah, good for you. Got a lot to say to you people today as I have my coffee. I think I've told you this before. Somebody asked me, why is there names on all your coffee mugs? Well, my mother brought this. She went to Monaco. Wherever Lee and I go, we buy a Starbucks mug. It's kind of our thing. It's cute, right? What else would you expect? Some of you out there are bitching about too many tweets from Outkick about this show. Yeah, well, I don't want to hear it. No. No, this show is the greatest show in the history of radio. You should be honored that Outkick thinks enough of you to send you a tweet. You should. My man Chad Withrow, Dan is currently talking monkey lawsuits on Outkick. All is right with the world. You're damn right. JK says, wise words from Dan Dakich this morning. Don't date Instagram models. I mean, there are lines out there. Mr. Donkey says, just muted Dan Dakich and my Twitter feed has never been better. Dean Miller says, I'm starting to get too many posts from the Outkick feed. No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're getting just enough. Fact, you need to get more. Outkick, what are you doing? I need more. All right, we're going to come back with A-Dubs. Allison Williams joins on a Wednesday. It's Hump Day! We on?
I think so. Do I have to produce you too?
I don't even know if we're on. Are we on? I got all kind of things going on right now in my ear. It's crazy. We got Allison Williams. Stephanie, text me if we're on. Oh, we're on. Okay. Hey, how are you?
Is that Ray Charles or Dan Dakich?
My eyes are killing me. I'll take them off.
No, don't. I want you to be comfortable.
All right. I am comfortable. I'm very comfortable. But I'm trying. You know what I did? I decided the other day, I watched my show a little bit, and I'm like, man, you look like a slob. So I'm putting a sport coat over everything. I figure.
Instantly classy. Just, you could put on glasses. You should wear glasses like mine. These are essentially fake. They're blue light blockers.
I know. And I think that's smart. I'm just going to go this route because I'm looking at my right eye and it's half closed, and I didn't even drink last night.
It's not even the root beer this time, or...
No. I started reading a new John Grisham novel, and I ended up staying up till 2 a.m. I couldn't put it down.
You should have a piano below you though. Like every now and then when we talk, just like do one of these.
All right, let's get to it. You ready? The bravest woman in sports joins us, Allison Williams. She is. I mean, look, whenever you do something that costs you financially in this world, you know the deal. All right, I'm going to get right to this. The coach that will have the most success next season between Kelly at LSU, Venables at Oklahoma, or Riley at USC.
Well, first of all, I'm disappointed you didn't mention Mario Cristobal at Miami with my Canes down there.
I would put him fourth. I know you're the U girl, but the U stinks.
I know. It's going to take him a minute. Yes, that's why I understand that. So I know we've been kind of big on USC from the beginning, like feeling that was the best job and stuff. And I truly believe, just given the coach that Lincoln Riley is, what he can do schematically with an offense, and he's going to have some weapons, I think, at quarterback. We'll see what Slovis does, but like that Jackson Dart kid, the freshman that came in last season, he got some experience. He played great. He played well. And you think maybe with Lincoln Riley, he's like the quarterback whisperer. Does Caleb Williams come over from Oklahoma and follow him? I think it's going to be Lincoln Riley. Brent Venables, you expect some adjustments there as his first time as a head coach taking over at Oklahoma. And then Brian Kelly at LSU, like, I don't know. Everything I read, it's not good. Like quarterbacks transferring now from last year. They've got guys decommitting every day. And if it's half as decent as his new Southern accent, it's not going to be very good.
Oh, hell, we all get Southern accents when we go south, girl.
What was that? Seriously.
I don't know.
Like, I was dying because it made me think of like when they when they had me do my Ed Ogeron accent on air live during the broadcast of the BYU game. I got so much shit for it, but I was like, gosh, if they had me do that like, what is that? That was just bizarre.
Can you do the Ed accent now?
Oh man, I haven't heard him in a bit. Okay, hold on. I gotta get loud though. Hopefully I don't make you vote. All right, Dockage, we got to come in one team, one heartbeat. All right, one team, one heartbeat. We're going out there. We're going to win this team. We're going to win this game. All right, let's go. Wednesday morning here, and don't at me now. Don't at me. All right. And he always smiles at them. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. That was really good. That was really good. Is his an easy accent to do?
Yeah, because it's so, like, distinct. Yeah,
guttural,
you just go deep and gravelly. Yeah. I love that guy.
But when Kelly did that, like, do you think somebody said to him, hey, coach, man, get a Southern accent? I mean,
I hope not. That's some really bad advice. Like every coach you ever talk to, they're like, what's the best piece of advice yet? They all say, be yourself. Like, you're from Massachusetts, dude. Everybody knows that. And you think those people can't spot a phony Southern bad Cajun weird accent? Come on. I did read one thing, though. Somebody that was there that said it didn't seem as bad in person. Like, that he didn't notice anything weird watching it. I don't know if he was drunk or just not paying attention, because I watched it multiple times and I just laughed and cringed, and I don't know. He got some really bad advice if somebody told him he needed to get a Southern accent to win over the fans there in Baton Rouge.
One of the things I will say, when you have a microphone, a handheld or maybe it was plugged in the middle of a basketball court and it's the PA, it doesn't sound to the people in there that clear. You know what I mean? So I could see where somebody that was there
And in his defense, I will say when you speak, but I feel like he's done that a million times. When you speak in those arenas and it reverberates back, it's weird because it's almost like a little echo. If you're not, it throws me off whenever I do trophy presentations. First, hello, welcome to like the Rose Bowl ceremony. Hello, and you hear it. So maybe that was what was weird with him. I don't know.
Is the Rose Bowl the coolest game to go to in football?
So I didn't have, let me answer this. Yes and no. So when I worked it for television, it was in Arlington. It was last year, but I have worked it for radio, and that was the Wisconsin-Oregon game 2 years ago. And I mean, like when that sun started to set over the mountains and the colors, and it was a great game. It was special. It was one of those games that you look around and you're like,
my mom and dad late in life, they went out to Pasadena. My dad always wanted to go to Rose Bowl. My mother, the most holy of women, she decided that they have to volunteer, and they ended up volunteering and putting flowers on the Rose Bowl floats.
That's amazing.
Which sounds awful.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah. And she said, even my dad, who's like, a teacher, an iron worker, and he's like, Dan, I got to tell you, man, it was one of the coolest things we ever did. It was so cool to see the people lined up and how organized. I don't know. I want to go to the Rose Bowl. And I'm mad at Lee. We got people coming to our house this year.
And I want to do the whole thing, the parade, all that.
Hey, Dubs, college, people see you as a host and as on the sidelines of football, but you did college basketball. We did together for years. College basketball should start around Christmas. Somebody hit me with that yesterday and made some pretty good points. What do you think?
What were the good points?
Well, the good points was people aren't really paying attention until then. All these good games that are being played in Feast Week and all that really aren't watched because you're going up against all of college football. So if you started around Christmas, there's so many less games. A lot of these bowl games are done. And if you play these good games like Duke and Gonzaga or whatever, they get more eyes. Even if you have to go a little long into March Madness, who cares? And
I don't buy that because these games are on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Like they're midweek. They're not on Saturday. So why are they going up against college football? No, I don't buy that. I like it now. I think the games this year and each year have gotten better and better in the non-conference play between like the different tournaments you have. And like you said, Feast Week, the Maui Jim Maui Classic. You have the Big Ten ACC little, square down that they do every. So no, I think it's good right now. I mean, tell James Madison to wait till after Christmas. That was like the best early Christmas they could get, beating Virginia. I mean, we've just seen some really good, fun games, and I think it's nice to have them during the week. And if you don't pay attention, that's your own problem.
Yeah, one of the things that I just looked down at my note was that, most people are in college football mode. And I'm thinking to myself, this isn't rocket science. Oh, wait, what's on tonight? A baseball game. Oh, I like the teams. I'll watch it. Wait, there's a football game. Oh, okay. Yeah, it ain't rocket science. It's not. This isn't like I can't watch two sports at one time. Jeez, try having two kids. Try having two kids at one time.
One of them's going to suffer.
Or be happy because you're not paying attention to them.
True.
It is more unlikely, or it was, I'm sorry, wait a second, I'm going the wrong way here. If you were a player or you were a parent, of a first-round pick, and you were playing in a bowl game that wasn't for the college football championship, would you opt out?
I go back and forth on this one. I totally understand why guys do. I completely respect it. I think that just knowing me, I probably would. And again, it depends on the bowl game, even if it's not a playoff game.
You would?
No, I would play.
Not the Rose. I'm not even talking about the Rose Bowl.
I would play. I would play.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I think just kind of the way it was limited athletic career. I emphasize limited that I had in high school. So like, it's about the team. It's about the people you play with. It's the experience of playing together. I like to think I would, but if it was like, I don't know, if it was a really low tier, maybe not. And I'm a guaranteed lock for a first round and big money. I don't care about the insurance policy and all that. maybe you
don't.
I do
too.
I
like to think that I would, but I'm not sure I would. You know what I would do? And I would lay out, if you were my son, and I was, okay, we're going to lay out the financial impact of getting hurt, but we're also going to lay out, like, legacy becomes important to you for a very long time from the school that you went to. You play for a few years, but your legacy going back there, I don't know if it's important or not, but I feel
right.
Like
and it comes down to, what do you play for? Do you play, do you play for yourself? Do you play for your teammates? Do you play for your future? Do you play for your university? It's a name on the front or the back. But again, I totally understand why it's not in the best interest of some guys to go out there and risk injury. It's such a pivotal moment in their life that could set them up for future success for years to come. So it's a cool decision and I don't blame any athlete that decides not to play, but I do always think it's a little bit indicative of a team and a culture when multiple athletes decide not to play, especially in like a New Year's Six game.
Yeah, New Year's Six game, I'd have a hard time with. The Final Four, I'm playing. Right. I don't give a damn. I'm with you on all that. I went from saying, no, you got to play, to maybe, I'm exactly with you. All right, you're watching Georgia get its ass beat by Alabama. All right, it's Saturday. Is the most watched championship game in a long, long time in the weekend of championships, not the college football playoff, but it was a hugely watched game. You're watching Georgia, really for the most part, get annihilated. Was there any part of you as a college football media person that thought, maybe Georgia shouldn't be in the top four?
I thought maybe we've gotten them wrong, because if you looked at their body of work, who's their best win? It's definitely not Clemson. That win changed as the season played out, how you viewed that. Florida wasn't the team we expected them to be. So their best wins were probably Kentucky and Arkansas. They shut out Arkansas 30-something to nothing, and Arkansas finished top 25. So did Kentucky. So it definitely made me question, what do we really know about Georgia? Okay, they've got the top ranked defense in the country, but have they really been tested? I never thought they would drop out of the top four, though. That to me was like not even a possibility. But I think the argument can be made that they shouldn't have been ranked as high as they were all season.
I agree. I agree. All right, we're getting into hot takes, and I already gave you my first one about college basketball needs to start, because it's impossible for me to follow a rundown. And Stephanie and Lauren are back there going, hey, dumbass, that's the hot takes, not just a conversation. So I'm going to skip that one, all right? Here's a hot take. Cincinnati getting into the college football Final Four was more improbable than teams like VCU, George Mason, Wichita State, etc., getting into the NCAA basketball tournament Final Four.
Yes.
Really?
Maybe not like, yes, because it hadn't been done. And we always have a Cinderella team. Look, the field, once it's set, it's up to you. Like, go play. You win, you go. There is a human element to having to get into the football Final Four. And there is a bias that I think is inherently present whenever humans are making decisions, and you're not able to just go out on the field to play or the court and earn it. So as much as I see like this chip stacked against these teams like VCU and the Cinderella stories, the Loyolas and all that, they do it. And they do it the year, a non-Power 5 team didn't get the opportunity. So, I'm going to say.
I agree. And I think you made a really good point. You're in the tournament. I'll just go win or go lose. That's
you control what happens once you get into the tournament. You have to get in, but there's 64 teams. So like if you're decent, you're going to get in. You're going to get a chance. That's not the case in football.
Loyola hits a bunch of game winners at the end, and now you're in the final. Yeah, it's a great point. The other thing I think is money. Right? This isn't under the NCAA control like the NCAA tournament is. The money goes to the schools that, are putting this thing on. So, no, I think I think you're absolutely right. You're smart. You're good with words. All right. The United States should boycott the upcoming Olympics, not just domestic or whatever they called it, a diplomatic boycott. The athletes, everybody, the United States should pull out and boycott this winter's Olympics in Beijing.
I think there's a lot of things we should do towards China that we don't need to put on our Olympic athletes to send a message. This is a difficult one. The crimes against humanity that the Chinese Communist Party has perpetrated for years go, I think, largely underreported and discussed. But it's the Olympics. And I think there are other sports organizations that could step up and have a larger impact on China, but continue to do business with them, especially the NBA. And I give, organizations like the Women's Tennis Association, who's pulled some of their tournaments out of China, a ton of credit. I think they're doing the right thing and looking out for one of their members. But this is different because you can reschedule a tennis tournament in a different country. You can't reschedule the Olympics. Only every 4 years for some players. This will be the first and only opportunity. For some athletes, it'll be the last. It's something they've trained their whole lives for, and is only every 4 years. So I think to put that on the U.S. Olympic Committee and the athletes is a bit unjust to them. I don't like using that word because what's going on there is beyond unjust. But I think that's a tough spot to put them in. We should be arguing if the Olympics should be in China again with their track record and what's going on there. But that's tough. I'm not sure what is this, like the diplomatic holdout, what kind of punch that will pack. I'm sure it'll offend some people, but it doesn't have an impact. But that's tough. And you got to make sure that they can be there and compete safely too for the U.S. athletes, everything.
Well, I think that's a great point. And, I've talked about the Women's Tennis Association. I think that's very brave. And I think the Women's Tennis Association opened up doors.
Yeah.
I think the NBA eventually will. They got covered because the Women's Tennis Association opened it up. Do you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. And I think they showed that you can and should put people over profit. And when there are people who are potentially being harmed, especially one of your own with the Women's Tennis Association, that needs to factor into your decisions and your business dealings with a country that, has internment camps for Muslims and other minorities and has a long track record of, sterilization and human rights violations that are gross. And I know there's a ton of money to be made there, but if sports organizations and leagues want to become social activists domestically, maybe they need to be internationally as well.
Yeah, particularly when you're an international business like the NBA is. And the NBA made a conscious effort to become an international business. That was, Yao Ming was promoted for a reason. I mean, and here you go. All right, speaking of athletes, Tom Brady. Tom Brady is the world's most famous athlete right now. Non-soccer division.
Oh, you just non-soccer?
I know. I could tell you were getting ready to jump on me and talk about Ronaldo.
And Messi.
And his fake front teeth.
And his sweet. Oh, man. No, I think LeBron's still bigger, but I think there's even Federer, too. We're bigger. This world is bigger than the U.S. And I know we forget that sometimes. And I think there is something also about the sport he plays, the fact that like 90% of the time he's on the television, he has a helmet on and you don't see him. So when you have guys that are basketball players and they play the entire time and you can see them, or a Federer who's in like the singular spotlight, when you look internationally across the globe, I think both those guys would be more recognizable than Tom Brady.
Who do you think if I did not put the non-soccer division in there?
Ronaldo or Messi? Yeah. I mean, you go to Europe, like people are like, what's the NFL? Who, the Tampa Bay what? Like what? Like they don't care about that stuff. And there's a lot more of them over there and in South America and, across the globe and Africa and all these, different places that are way more into soccer than our little country is into NFL.
I went to a game in England in Wembley Stadium. The Colts were playing the Jaguars. Lee and Laura and Tegan and I went. And the guy, I was sitting right below the box. I was sitting in the stands, but the row right below, a suite, and all these guys in suits that were obviously pretty important guys tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Why do you guys stop the game so much? Why does nothing happen?" And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Leave me alone. It's football.
It's easier for us to follow that way. We need the stops and starts. It continues back and forth in the running clock. You can't keep track of anything. It's chaos. No good here for us.
Too much. There's extra time. What's the extra time? I need it down to the 0.01. Yes, I need it to, we got our clocks at, they go to 24.2 seconds. That's what we need. We don't need some random extra time.
Exactly.
All right, I say this every year, and I want your take on it. The college football playoffs, the college football Final Four, always plays itself out
It pisses me off.
It always does.
Every time. All I want, ever since the first year. The first year was crazy when TCU got bumped, right? Like that was that.
It's TCU.
Yeah. But you're right. Ever since then, it has been smooth sailing, chalk across the board, not a lot to argue. And it pisses me off. And it's no offense to the good people on the selection committee. I just want some chaos. I want their lives to be difficult at the end. I wanted, Oklahoma State to win, maybe Michigan to lose, and no knock on either, to Harbaugh. Like I just wanted them I want their jobs to be difficult. Every year they have made it easy across the board, and it pisses me off.
Hey, Allison, 3 weeks ago, this team, that team, this is chaos. And I always say it's going to play itself out. You are a Michigan gal. What are your thoughts?
I actually was super excited for them. I was one of the critics of Harbaugh, and I didn't think he lived up to the expectations for which they hired him. And I felt like he came up short year after year and couldn't win the big bowl game, couldn't beat Ohio State. Those were important things, couldn't get him to the Big Ten championship. But he came through this year, and I think he reinvented himself in a lot of ways. I think he obviously rebuilt completely his staff, and I give him credit. And I was genuinely happy for him, for the fans back home. And I think it's better in college football when the Wolverines are good. So, to them and way to prove the doubters wrong, and credit to University of Michigan for sticking with their guy and saying like, nope, this is our guy. He's going to get us there, and we're going to give him the time he needs. And he took the pay cut he had to. And I'm super happy for Harbaugh and all the Go Blue fans.
And he gave $1 million back to
the COVID people.
People that lost their job. Yeah, I thought that was great, man. I think it's a great story.
I do
too. What's the latest on your show?
So we're plugging away. It's starting to come together. I feel like in a lot of ways it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We're basically working on kind of a sports mini doc and how social media, mainstream media, and politics have infiltrated sport and kind of created a divide for a lot of us, when sports was always a really strong point of unification. Why has that changed? It's a lot to bite off, because obviously there's a million different examples and things we could incorporate, but we're starting to kind of whittle it down. We got our team together, some really smart people, smarter than me, thankfully. So we're getting there. We're plugging along.
I ain't smarter than you. Last thing. You good with Cristobal? You
I am.
About that being a
I
new
am.
grad?
First of all, I want to say this. I'm sad the Manny Diaz era did not work out, and not just because obviously I'm a Hurricane and I want to win, because I really liked him for the university. I liked, his ties to the city. I liked the energy, the creativity he brought to that defense, and the turnover chain and all the things he represented. I think he had a very unique pulse on the city of Miami and that community and that team. And he was a really good guy to me. And he was the first coach there in a long time that made me feel like it mattered that I was an alum, that I was welcome there, that could still be my home. I had not felt that with previous coaches there, and I appreciate him for that. That being said, it was obvious that a change was coming. And I did not think Miami was going to be able to make it rain like they did to get Mario Cristobal. We're talking like Melvin Shapiro days in the club. That is just insane to me that they found that kind of dough to buy out Manny, to buy out Mario, and bring him back to his home in Miami. So I'm thrilled. I like Cristobal a lot as a coach. I actually, back when he was at Alabama as an O-line coach, I can remember talking to former Miami players. And I think there was I want to say that was around the time they brought in, might have been Richt or Golden. I don't remember. But his name within the Miami football community has been circulated for years as a guy that should eventually be a head coach there. So this is someone that people within, that program really thought had big time potential to come there and turn things around. So I'm excited.
I look at it like, man, people say, well, you can't leave Oregon and Phil Knight's money. Yeah, but you got to look, these are people.
It's
too,
home.
Right? This is his community.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And it's not like he took a huge pay cut. He ain't going broke.
That's the thing. I mean, if you make 6, does 7 make that much of a difference? $1 million? Like, how much money can you spend? And there's no state income tax in Florida, so you're getting a little raise there. Don't forget that land of the free with DeSantis down there. So there's plenty of perks leaving Oregon. The weather's better. You can be like Keys in like 45 minutes. I mean, come on. And Mama's there for him.
It's not a bad spot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You're the best. Thanks for
your time.
Fun as always. You're awesome.
Good to see you, man.
You're the best. So talk to you next week. Those glasses actually are not prescription. They're just fake, huh? Yeah. All right, we'll be back. That was the lovely, the uber talented and incredibly smart Allison Williams. Look, here's the deal. We're going to come back, and we're going to come back with some NFL quarterbacks that I'm tired of. Some NFL quarterbacks that need to sack the hell up. Sack the hell up is next. It's time, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for somebody's in the NFL to sack up. Now, again, sack up was going to be the name of this glorious show. But apparently it's too vulgar, I guess. So we put a segment in called Sack Up, which basically is my family's motto. And it's literally my daughter did this the other day. She called me after running a half marathon, which is 13.5 miles. She has a goal of running or ellipticaling 1 mile a day for an entire year. After the marathon, her foot was killing her. She probably broke it or plantar fasciitis. I don't know. But she called me and said, Dad, can you stay on the phone with me while I run and get me through this? Because I got to sack up. Love my daughter. I don't like my daughter. I love my daughter. And so I stayed on the phone, and she did an under 10-minute mile, kind of limping, making fun of herself, and I made fun of her. So sack the hell up is a big part of my existence. Here's the deal. 3 guys I'm tired of, and they need to start sacking up. First, Josh Allen. I get that Josh Allen is all the rage, the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. I get that we're all supposed to, worship at the altar of the Bills Mafia. I get that when you turn on the morning shows that Josh Allen is a guy that oh my God, he's the next big thing. Yeah? I'm not buying it. The game the other night, the game against Bill Belichick, when Bill Belichick et al. Ran the ball 42 times. Josh Allen needed to win that game for his team. If you're a great quarterback and you're getting all this green, listen to this, 6-year, $258 million, a $16.5 million signing bonus. $150 million guaranteed. That's what Josh Allen is getting. He's been good. All 3 of these quarterbacks that I'm going to bitch about have been good. But you know what? It's time for them to take the proverbial next step. It is. If you're going to be a Montana, if you're going to be a Brady, a Manning, then you know what you got to do? You got to step up in the biggest of moments. I said this yesterday, and I'm going to say it again today. Bill Belichick is a great coach, not because he's able to beat the New York Jets every time he plays them, but because of things like the other night. Bad weather, horrible circumstances on the road, big game for the other team, the biggest of stages, Monday Night Football. Belichick wins the game. Mac Brady wins the game. Mac Jones wins the game. Josh Allen, what'd he do? I'm telling you, these are the games you got to win. These are the circumstances you got to get through and pull your team through, period. There is no nice try in the NFL. Josh Allen, until you do that, I got nothing for you. Make your money. Maybe you make a playoff run. But that kind of game, in that kind of environment, that needs to happen for you. Period. The reason one guy over there in New England is considered great, and there's a reason all you guys like Sean McDermott bitch, well, it had nothing to do with, Belichick. Yeah, okay. You know how many times Belichick has heard that? Second guy, and everybody that watches this show and everybody that listens to my show in Indy knows I have a weird affection for Lamar Jackson. Here's why. I say it all the time. Lamar Jackson's a quarterback for the Ravens, for those of you that don't know. My affection for Lamar Jackson started not the year he won the Heisman Trophy, but the next year when all these crumb-filled, fat-ass media idiots were talking about how he's really not having a great year. I watched one game. I said to myself, this dude's the best player in football. I'm drafting him number 1. Grandpa Bill Polian, well, he's not really a quarterback. Fine. That's why I like Lamar Jackson. I kind of took it as my thing. Like my thing. Like, I know I was supposed to be a basketball guy back then, but this was my thing. I'm smarter than you because I saw Lamar Jackson being better than you all saw Lamar Jackson. So I'm good, you're bad. And let's be honest, it is all about me. But it's time for Lamar Jackson to start doing the same thing I've been talking about with Josh Allen. Now, fans of Josh Allen and the Bills and fans of Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are going to rip me. Well, you idiot, you don't know nothing. Okay, fine. I know this. I know that here is what Lamar Jackson has done quarterback ratings. 46, 80, 73. Here's the last 4 games. 8 interceptions. 6 touchdowns. That's the last 4 games. If I went back 6 games, 10 interceptions and 8 touchdowns. That ain't going to get it. You don't deserve my undying love. You don't deserve me walking around with my fat, bald head and my bad wardrobe talking about how good you are, Lamar Jackson. You got to go out and earn it. I still think like a coach. I coached for 20-some years. I think like a coach. I think like a guy that says, I don't give a rat's ass whether a media that's afraid to criticize an African-American player because they don't want to be called an ist. I treat everybody the same. And Lamar Jackson, you have been my guy. You have been my guy. You're starting not to be my guy, and I don't like it. You need to sack the hell up. You need to stop throwing the ball to the other team, and you need to become the guy that we know that you are. Because you and Josh Allen, I got 2 words for both of you, stardom, my ass. Stardom in the NFL is earned. Stardom in the NBA is given. Major League Baseball, hockey, NFL, stardom is earned. Lamar Jackson, stop throwing the ball to the other team and start winning games. For the love of all things holy, my reputation depends on it. Jeez. All right, I've never liked this next guy. I know you're supposed to, but Baker Mayfield, I got 2 words for my ass. All right, Baker Mayfield, honest to God, I see him in all these commercials. I see him, and he's in every freaking commercial. And actually, I've read up about Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, according to people that do commercials, they love him. They think, like, of all the guys, Baker Mayfield is the most natural actor out there. That's great. Yay, rah, go fight, win. Baker Mayfield has a torn labrum. Probably better for Baker Mayfield if he doesn't play. But Baker Mayfield is tough. I will give him that. I've never been the guy that likes the little scrappy nose in your face guy. I've never been that guy. I like talent. I do. I like talent. Baker Mayfield, great in the Heisman commercials, fantastic in whatever progressive, whatever that commercial is where he's in the stadium. His wife is in there. She's fine too. She's great. Everybody's great. That's wonderful. But again, in the NBA, what are you? Are you commercial guy? Are you Tracy McGrady? Just a guy that gets all these things thrown at you? Or are you winning guy? Baker Mayfield's throwing the ball to the other team. Baker Mayfield, 56, 53, 79 passer rating since November 7th. Hey, this is where the money is made, people. This is where the cash flows, and this is where you earn it. For coaches, you earn the money in the second half of the game. The second half of the game is where the hell you earn your money as a coach. You go in, you make adjustments, and voila, you go figure it out. But damn, as a quarterback, you make your money now, second half of the season. And Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, and freaking Josh Allen, you 3 need to sack the living hell up. Jeez. I'm giving myself a headache. I got to put my shades on. You're giving me such a headache. All right, yesterday was a very good day in the world of gambling, in the world of you guys that watch this show only at the end because you know how much I'm going to win you money. I told you the other day I was going to get serious about this. I wasn't just going to walk around and just give you bets. all right, sit on my ass and have to come up with 3 fade Dockages because that's part of the show. I was actually going to pay attention to this, and yesterday we won all 3. All right, yesterday's done. Yesterday's money's already spent. The cable bill is paid. I bought myself a big steak to cook up tonight. My wife's out of town. You know what I'm saying. So let's look at it today. This pains me because Penn State hired one of the worst human beings as an assistant coach that I've ever come across. He's actually not an assistant. He's like a director of something. But I do like Micah Shrewsbury, the head coach of Penn State. I really like Micah. Can't stand one of his directors of something. He's a little punk, but I digress. All right, here's the deal. Penn State is giving 5 to Wagner. Now, you all don't know Wagner. Wagner's in Jersey. Wagner actually has not been horrible by Wagner standards. Wagner has beaten VCU and beat them bad. This might not be my best bet, but I'm going with it for 2 reasons. Number 1, I believe Micah Shrewsbury's team has been beaten enough. Number 2, it's getting towards the holidays. And Wagner, I don't think, has culture enough to go into a Big Ten arena this close to the holidays and be, I don't know the right word, focused enough. Holidays are weird, man. I told you this yesterday. Holidays are weird. Penn State, I believe, is going to win. Yes, I'm sorry. Wagner is in Staten Island, not Jersey. See, this is why I've got the greatest people working with me. Stephanie just hit me. She's a Jersey gal. And she knows Staten Island, that ain't Jersey. Anyway, I'm taking Penn State. I'm giving you 5, and we'll figure it out later. The other one is the Pacers. Pacers stink. They're the most uninteresting team in basketball. However, now the Pacers have put it out there that they're looking to shop Karis LeVert, possibly Domantas Sabonis, and Miles Turner. Any combination of the 3. Well, they're playing the Knicks tonight. Knicks had a big win. It's a back-to-back. Pacers are going to play well tonight because they've been called out publicly by Woj, by Shams, by everybody that follows the NBA. Pacers -5 tonight is a lock. It's my lock of the night. I gave you last night the Lakers as my lock of the night. Lakers getting only 2.5 yesterday was damn near criminal. That was just throwing money, saying, here, people, Vegas is giving you a gift. Tonight, 5 is a little too much, but I'm still taking it. It's not the gift of yesterday, but it is going to cover today. The Knicks are tired. The Knicks don't really have a lot of heart. Thibodeau's a tough coach, which makes it interesting. But when you get called out by somebody nationally, like LeVert and Sabonis and Miles Turner have, and the coaching staff has, and the coaching staff has been very public about their trying to get leadership on this team. And by the way, if your team has Malcolm Brogdon on it, your coach is getting fired. Malcolm Brogdon, I got 2 words for. My ass. He's a coach killer like none other. As soon as the Pacers get rid of him, which they can't this year, they'll be much better. But I digress. Take the Pacers tonight. Give the 5. All right. And one last thing for today. I watch college basketball. I watch it with the sound down because when I was coaching at Indiana, Coach Bob Knight and I met every day around 10 o'clock, and we literally stayed in this room watching film, clicking the tape off. Denise Austin's exercise show used to be on. The sound was down. And we watched all this film with the sound off. So let's say we're playing Purdue and we're watching the previous game, Purdue and Wisconsin. The sound was always off. So I've always watched basketball with the sound down. Personally, I don't think there's very many, actually, I don't think there's any really good college basketball announcers. Some are fine, but really, nobody that I'm sitting there going, man, this person's really going to tell me something. So I basically watch college basketball with the sound down. And when you have the sound down, you form your own opinions. Here's my opinion from watching a lot of college hoops last night. The step-back three-point James Harden shot should be eliminated in college basketball. Yeah, it goes in about 1 out of 10. But you know what I can do? I can put a basketball by my ass and fart, and once in a while it goes in. I can throw it up this way, and once in a while it goes in. The step-back three-point shot should be eliminated. Watch a college basketball game without the sound down and some clown telling you, well, he's a good shooter. Analytics say get behind the three-point line. Yeah, it does. But I tell you this, not the old step-back jack. It is horrific, horrendous. The worst shot in basketball is some 18 to 22-year-old shooting a step-back shot. And I say this with some trepidation because in 2002, our season got saved by a great player named Keith McLeod, down one against a bad team in Akron in the MAC tournament, making a step-back three just as I was getting ready to call timeout. Ever since then, I've dug on the step-back three. But now that I'm out of coaching and Keith McLeod is now coaching, I don't like the step-back. If you're coaching and your player shoots a step-back three, I'd take him out immediately. I'd say, look, you're not for the team, you're for you. And I would put it on a wall. Like, hey, look, couple signs that you have. Victory favors a team making the fewest mistakes. Play like a champion today. The team. I'm taking your sorry ass out if you shoot a step-back three. Those should be on the wall of every college and high school program in America. High school, it's even worse. Holy Mastroli. Holy Mazzarelli. Holy Marconi. The step-back three. Man, you know what? I literally had to go to the bathroom after watching a few step-back threes last night. Stop it. I've ranted on the step-back three. That's like Tim Kirchin. And by the way, congratulations to my friend Tim Kirchin on getting into the Writers' Wing of the Baseball Hall of Fame. I will guarantee you this. There is nobody that has ever gone into the Baseball Hall of Fame, player, broadcaster, writer, contributor, that is and cares more about baseball than Tim Kirchin. Tim Kirchin going into the Hall of Fame shows that there is justice in the world. The Basketball Hall of Fame, whatever whatever minority or European, that's all they do. They're trying to, show that they're woke. The Baseball Hall of Fame is serious. And last thing, can we get Gary Sheffield in the Baseball Hall of Fame? My God, just do yourself a favor and go follow Gary Sheffield Jr. on Twitter. The points that he makes, 9-time All-Star, Golden Bat Award, more RBIs than Chipper Jones. I mean, my God, put Gary Sheffield in the Baseball Hall of Fame. I saw Gary Sheffield as a 14-year-old playing in Junedale Little League. He's from Tampa. The Senior League World Series was held at my Little League. It was basically the World Series you see in Williamsport. That's for 11 and 12-year-olds. The 13 to 15-year-old World Series was in Gary, Indiana, if you can believe it. And Gary Sheffield, Doc Gooden, and Floyd Yeomans came on a Tampa team, and I remember seeing Gary Sheffield going, oh, my God. As always, I want to thank Jesse and Donnie and Lauren and Stephanie. Not only do they get this show off and running, not only do they send me my homework at night to get the rundown, but they keep me going and they correct me throughout the show. The number one thing is, hey, Dan, slow your sorry ass down. The number two thing is my mistakes. No, Wagner isn't in frickin' New Jersey, dummy. It's on Staten Island. That's what I like. I like team efforts. I like big-time team efforts, and I feel like so far this show has been a team. And I got to thank Lauren and Stephanie and Donnie and Jesse every single show because, frankly, we wouldn't be on the air. Tomorrow, I got a monster for you. Tell your friends. We're going to preview some NFL. We're going to talk to Bobby Carpenter. I love talking to Bobby Carpenter. Bobby Carpenter is so good. I'm going to get into some hot takes. I'm going to get into some sack-ups. Something stupid will happen tonight that we'll comment about it. I hope all of you have an absolutely terrific rest of your day. And I can't thank you all enough, whether you're watching us on YouTube, whether you're watching us on Twitter. I don't know what the hell you're watching us on. Thanks for doing it. We'll be right back here tomorrow from 9 o'clock till 11 o'clock, and I'll try to be better dressed.